I'm Sabrina Zainal, and this is Nightline. The top stories. 2 amendment bills tabled in Dewan Rakyat to address bullying. And Zionist forces have seized control of Israel-Syria border. Good morning. We begin with this story. 2 amendment bills have been tabled in the Dewan Rakyat to address bullying, including offences committed online. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Law and Institutional Reforms, Datuk Sri Azalina Othman Said, tabled amendments to the Penal Code and the Criminal Procedure Code on Monday. The proposed new subsection 507D(2) seeks to make it an offence for any person who in any manner or by any means uses or makes any threatening, abusive or insulting words or communication against any person or engages in any threatening, abusive or insulting act towards any person with intent to provoke the person to cause harm to himself or to any other person, or knowing or ought to know that the words, communication or acts are likely to provoke the person to cause harm to himself or to any other person. The punishment for the proposed offence is imprisonment for a term, which may extend to 1 year or a fine or both. This subsection also provides that if the person so provoked attempts to commit suicide or commits suicide as a result of such provocation, the punishment for the proposed offence is imprisonment for a term, which may extend to 10 years or a fine or both. The proposed new subsection 507E seeks to make it an offence for any person who in any manner or by any means publishes, circulates or makes available or causes to be published, circulated or made available any identity information of a person with intent to cause or knowing or ought to know that the publication, circulation or availability is likely to cause harassment, distress, fear or alarm to the person. Additionally, Azalina tabled the Criminal Procedure Code, Amendment Number 2 Bill 2024 for its first reading. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, said that its investigations into Human Resource Development Corporation, HRD Corp, are still ongoing. Its Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki explained that the probe covered various aspects, including procurement and investments.
All the investigations still ongoing, and then I have directed my officers to inform PAC that could be what the officers meant about the case being closed could be at one of the files.
Azam said this in response to a report stating that the graftbusters found no wrongdoing or violations under the MACC Act by HRD Corp based on the findings recorded by an MACC officer in a Public Accounts Committee (PAC) report. In July, PAC revealed that actions and decisions made by HRD Corp's management did not comply with established procedures and failed to protect the company's interests in fulfilling its core functions. The PAC also reported that 3.77 billion ringgit in levy collections from employers were used by HRD Corp's training program to invest in activities that were not aligned with the agency's objectives. In another development, the MACC has called a high-ranking committee member of the Badminton Association of Malaysia, BAM, in its investigation into alleged corruption. According to Azam, the committee member was one of 6 individuals called to assist in the probe.
As what the investigator told me, they are still looking into the issues about the allowances and all that. But it is involved only in individuals. It's not the whole lot of the entity. Okay, I think be sure on that, be clear on that. Sorry, that we are investigating an individuals. It's not the organization.
In a statement on December 3rd, BAM confirmed that MACC had launched an investigation into the association. According to a source, the graftbusters received a poison pen letter alleging that a high-ranking officer from the association had been receiving an allowance without approval from the BAM Council. The source said 5 MACC officers were present at the BAM headquarters in Bukit Kiara on November 26th to examine several documents as part of their investigation. Now, the Immigration Department is in the process of obtaining 40 more autogates that will integrate a QR code system for both Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA Terminal 1 and 2 by the end of this year. Immigration Director General Dato' Zakaria Shaban said that there will be 10 additional autogates at each arrival and departure hall. According to Zakaria, there are currently 54 autogates at both airports, and the additions are being done to handle the congestion issue after its usage was open to tourists.
So melalui penggunaan QR code ini, kita boleh membaca ataupun melepasi itu dah kurang daripada 5 saat. So ini satu penambahbaikan yang kita akan laksanakan. Jadi setakat ini statusnya masih di peringkat perolehan dan kita jangka perkara ini akan diselesaikan sebelum hujung tahun ini.
It was previously reported that there have been complaints regarding the decrease in dedicated counters for Malaysians, which have resulted in longer wait times. Zakaria explained that the QR and autogate systems are measures taken to eliminate corruption by limiting human interference. Meanwhile, the Immigration Department aims to fully rotate its personnel by middle of next year. Currently, 65% of all personnel have been rotated, and the rotation period for immigration personnel will be between 3 and 5 years.
Itu kita perlu ada perancangan, so supaya ianya ada pelapis dan sebagainya. Sebab mereka tak boleh kalau kata tiba-tiba yang baru terus masuk bekerja, so dengan tak ada pengalaman, tak ada pengetahuan yang cukup dan sebagainya, nanti mungkin proses untuk menyelesaikan ataupun menguruskan kemasukan dan sebagainya ambil masa. So ini akan mengganggu.
Zakaria added that the department has taken steps to limit the duration any staff can serve at immigration counters to no more than 5 years to reduce the risk of misconduct, including abuse of power and counter setting. The Malaysian Meteorological Department, Met Malaysia, has issued severe and alert-level heavy rain warnings for 7 states, including those on the east coast, which are expected to last until Wednesday. Met Malaysia's warning issued on Monday indicated that continuous heavy rainfall at a severe level is anticipated to affect 5 districts in Pahang, Kuantan, Pekan, Jurantut, Maran and Rompin, as well as the districts of Kemaman and Dungun in Terengganu. The entire Kelantan and Perlis are expected to experience continuous rainfall at the alert level during the same period. Similar weather conditions are forecast for Hulu Perak and Perak, as well as in Kedah, including the districts of Kubang Pasu, Kota Star, Pokok Sena, Padang Terap, Pendang, Sik and Baling. Other areas affected by similar weather conditions include Cameron Highlands, Lipis, Raub, Bentong, Temerloh and Bera in Pahang, Besut, Setiu, Kuala Nerus, Hulu Terengganu, Kuala Terengganu and Marang in Terengganu, and Segamat, Mersing and Kota Tinggi in Johor. Now, a total of 4,424 child abuse cases have been reported as of August this year, with 3 occurring at childcare centres. Deputy Women, Family and Community Development Minister Datuk Sri Nur Aini Ahmad told the Dewan Rakyat on Monday that most abuse cases also occurred at unregistered childcare centres, which the ministry was unaware of.
Namun daripada jumlah tersebut, 3 kes saja yang berlaku, yang dilaporkan berlaku di Taska. Yang lain-lainnya berlaku di tangan orang yang dikenali. Kebanyakannya dikenali oleh kanak-kanak itu sendiri.
She was asked whether the ministry intended to amend the necessary laws related to childcare centres and make it compulsory to obtain a special card from the Social Welfare Department to deter child abuse cases. The minister said that all Malaysians naturally feel angry when such child abuse cases occur, especially those involving neglect and abuse at childcare centres. She said if such centres were registered with the ministry or listed under the department, we would have already issued warning notices to prevent them from operating until the registration process is complete. In Sarawak, the Kuching Magistrates Court released a company director with the title of Dato from Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC) remand in connection with alleged bribery to secure construction projects in Sarawak worth about 250 million ringgit. Magistrate Mason Jaru Linya Barayan allowed the 48-year-old Dato to be released on MACC bail after rejecting an application to extend the remand for a further 7 days to assist with the investigation under the MACC Act 2009. At the same time, Mason approved a 3-day remand extension against the 45-year-old civil servant who was arrested together with the Dato following an application made by the graft busters. The Dato and civil servant, who is an engineer, were previously remanded for 5 days starting December 5th. The two suspects were believed to have conspired to enable several companies to obtain construction projects issued by a public works department office in a district in Sarawak. They allegedly committed this act between 2022 and 2024 in exchange for securing construction projects valued at around 250 million ringgit. Both suspects had also tested positive for methamphetamine use. In the meantime, former Kuala Lumpur Drainage and Irrigation Department DID Director Dato Abu Bakar Muhammad Yusuf began serving his 26-month prison sentence on Monday after the Court of Appeal upheld his conviction on 3 counts of accepting bribes. A 3-member bench led by Dato Ahmad Zaidi Ibrahim, Dato Azman Abdullah and Dato Azmi Arifin dismissed the final appeal against his conviction and sentence. The court issued a committal warrant for Abu Bakar, 74, who had been released on 45,000 ringgit bail with 1 surety, ordering him to commence his prison term immediately. In 2018, he was sentenced by the Sessions Court to 26 months imprisonment and fined 133,326 ringgit 40 cents after being convicted of accepting bribes, including hotel accommodation and 20,000 ringgit in cash from a company proprietor between 2014 and 2015. In 2022, his appeal to the High Court was dismissed, prompting him to take the matter to the Court of Appeal. Abu Bakar has since settled the fine. Justice Azmi, delivering the unanimous decision, ruled that Abu Bakar's appeal was without merit, adding that the evidence against him was overwhelming. The court also dismissed Abu Bakar's request for his sentences, which were ordered to run consecutively, meaning he will serve only 20 months in prison. In Sabah, an 18-year-old boy pleaded not guilty to the charge of raping a 6-year-old girl. The accused was charged with raping the minor on November 22nd behind an abandoned building near the Batu Putih Public Housing Project PPR in Sandakan. The accused, Muhammad Nur Hafiz Saleh, was slapped with 2 counts of raping the girl under the Penal Code at the Sandan Sessions Court on Monday. In the incident last month, the victim was left bleeding. As a result, her parents had to rush the child to the Duchess of Kent Hospital in Sandakan. The medical officer revealed that the girl sustained injuries to her genitals and rectum. Judge Zaini Fisher alias Fizal fixed January 3rd for remention of the case. Local semiconductor companies are expected to see continued gradual revenue growth supported by an anticipated recovery in global demand. According to TA Securities, the global semiconductor market is expected to end the year at a high level, driven by strong demand from investments in the artificial intelligence data centers. Now, this expectation is in line with the revision of the global semiconductor sales forecast by the World Semiconductor Trade Statistics, which is expected to rise to $630 billion. In 2025, global sales are projected to increase by 11%, reaching up to $697 billion. It is expected that a majority of local companies will record a recovery in foreign exchange in the upcoming quarter. However, there are also key downside risks due to escalating geopolitical tensions. This situation could affect economic growth and disrupt supply chains, leading to weaker than expected sales. Global oil prices saw an increase on Monday following the fall of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's regime. The rise also balances offset concerns regarding weak demand from China following Saudi Aramco's price cuts to Asian buyers. Now, Brent crude oil trading increased by 22 cents to $71.30 per barrel. Meanwhile, West Texas Intermediate WTI crude oil prices rose to $67.40 last week. Brent dropped by more than 2.5% and WTI fell by 1.2%. This is because analysts are predicting an oversupply in 2025 due to weak demand. Singapore's labour market showed strong growth in the third quarter of 2024, with total employment nearly doubling the increase seen in the previous quarter. Citing the latest labour market report, the local manpower ministry on Monday, total employment excluding migrant domestic workers reached 3,736,900 by September, reflecting an increase of 22,300 in the third quarter. Both resident and non-resident employment also saw growth. The ministry noted that resident employment expanded in outward-oriented sectors such as information and communications, professional services, and financial services as workers moved away from domestic-focused industries like retail and food services. The growth in non-resident employment, meanwhile, was driven primarily by the hiring of work permit holders in the construction and manufacturing sectors. Unemployment rates showed a slight decline, with the overall unemployment rate in September standing at 1.9%. The unemployment rates for resident and citizen were 2.6% and 2.7% respectively. Negeri Sembilan thrashed by Red Giants. Sports after this breather.
6 pasangan selebriti. Hanya satu family yang bakal menjadi juara dalam program reality Family Duo musim keempat. Hangatkan sensasinya bersama Family Duo musim keempat. Juarakan family anda dengan plan U Family daripada U Mobile. Kongsi 1000 GB data 5G dan perantauan global percuma di 63 destinasi. 4 talian untuk family anda. Hanya RM128 sebulan. Kongsikan segalanya bersama family anda.
Satu dalam sejuta.
Sampai sekarang masih tak ingat lirik. Bila saya tengok dan tonton rancangan itu, saya sedar yang macam down, of course down, tapi dia punya momentum dan juga impact permulaannya daripada 1 in million sangat besar. Try your best, prepare diri anda. Ini akan memberi anda ruang dan platform yang bagus untuk karier anda.
OIAM akan datang Disember ini.
Lebih segar, lebih dinamik. Laporan komprehensif menghidupkan pagi anda.
Buletin pagi dengan waktu yang baharu. 9.30 pagi setiap hari bermula 1 November.
Apa yang kelakar sangat tu, Kak? Ni, tengah tengok drama baru dekat tonton ni. Macam seronok je cerita ni. Kalau nak tengok kat TV, boleh tak?
Boleh je, Mak. Cari aplikasi tonton. Dah jumpa tu, tinggal buat turun je. Dah buka tonton, tekan butang sign in, nanti dia keluar macam ni. Dia ada bagi link. Tapi nak senang, invest je kod QR ni. Masukkan je ID dengan password. Sekarang ni tinggal cari senang dan main drama.
Sports now, football, the Super League. Selangor FC were vicious as they thrashed Negeri Sembilan FC 4-0 at the Tuanku Abdul Rahman Stadium on Monday. Alif Haikal opened the scoring for the visitors just 15 minutes in. The Red Giants then doubled their lead in the 39th minute through Alvin Fortes with a clinical strike. Negeri's hopes took a major hit just before half-time when the Cik Rashid Cik Halim was sent off for rough play, reducing the home side to 10 men. Selangor kept on with their momentum as Quentin Cheng added a third for them just 3 minutes after the restart. Johandri Orozco then put the result beyond doubt as he converted a strike to secure a 4-0 win for the Red Giants. With the win, Katsuhito Kinoshi's side maintained in the second place with 32 points, 11 behind leaders JDT. Still on football, the German Bundesliga. Wolfsburg moved into 5th spot in the league when a late double from Jonas Wind powered his team to a memorable 4-3 win over Mainz at home on Sunday. Paul Nabel put the visitors ahead after 11 minutes with a beautiful skill to strike it into the net, only for Mohamed Amoura to equalize 8 minutes later, pouncing on a rebound by the Mainz goalkeeper. Jonathan Burkhardt then bundled home from close range to give Mainz the lead again 6 minutes before the interval, but Wolfsburg drew level 12 minutes into the second half when Mainz's Andreas Hanke Olsen deflected Thiago Tomas's shot into his own net. Yet again, Mainz responded with Nabel notching his second in the 66th minute to put the visitors 3-2 up. However, substitute Jonas Wind leveled the scores in the 84th minute with a powerful strike from the edge of the box before dramatically winning the match deep into stoppage time with a well-placed header. Moving on to Formula One, the 2024 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Lando Norris claimed victory in a tense, emotional and incident-filled Grand Prix on Sunday to deliver McLaren's first Constructors' Championship in 26 years as Lewis Hamilton finished a remarkable 4th in his final race for Mercedes. The 25-year-old Norris came home 5.832 seconds ahead of Carlos Sainz and his teammate Charles Leclerc to end Ferrari's title challenge on a night of accidents, penalties and tantrums under the floodlights at the Yas Marina circuit. The 25 points, along with Oscar Piastri's 1 point, left McLaren 14 points clear of Ferrari and champions for the first time since 1998. 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton, who is set to join Ferrari next season, finished 4th in his last race for Mercedes, having overtaken teammate George Russell on the final lap. With the result, Norris finished the season as overall runner-up and plans to end Verstappen's 4-year reign as world champion next year. Israeli army strikes strategic weapons in Syria. The details when Nightline returns.
Selepas hampir 2 dekad, rancangan reality TV terhebat kembali dengan lebih segar dan penuh kejutan. Ribuan peserta hadir ke 7 lokasi uji bakat di seluruh Malaysia dengan membawa mimpi dan harapan untuk menjadi seorang penghibur terkenal sekaligus memenangi hadiah bernilai RM1 juta. Siapakah 100 peserta yang bertuah yang bakal mara ke peringkat seterusnya untuk bergelar juara Kalpis Soda 1 in a Million?
Alah, dah habis. Tak sempat dah tengok.
Drama TV3 Mak? Tengok je lah, tonton.
Telefon nak buat?
Telefon Mak. Mula-mula Mak buka tonton, lepas tu tekan sign up here untuk buat akaun baru. Isi nombor telefon, email dengan password. Masukkan nombor TAC dan siap.
Ya, senang je. Jadi tengok dasar?
Boleh lah. Tadi dah drama Mak tu.
Lapangan terbang jadi lubuk pemandu kereta sewa haram.
Memang salah. Puan memang.
You sebut dah memang salah. You sendiri tahu salah.
Ejen tutup mata, keselamatan diabaikan.
Gunakan kenderaan persendirian, lepas tu bawa pula orang foreigner. Sepatutnya abang kena erase benda ni betul-betul lah.
Saksikan 999 Selasa jam 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Lebih segar, lebih dinamik. Laporan komprehensif menghidupkan pagi anda.
Buletin pagi dengan waktu yang baharu. 9.30 pagi setiap hari bermula 1 November.
We're back with the foreign front. The Zionist army has seized control of areas near the Israel-Syria border and struck strategic weapons in Syria as of Monday. According to a Syrian source, Zionist tanks advanced into the southwestern Syrian city of Quneitra near the occupied Golan Heights, reaching the government building as drones circled overhead on Monday. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a Britain-based war monitor, said multiple sites in Quneitra have been hit, adding that further Zionist strikes had destroyed warehouses holding anti-tank weapons in the Kalamoun area in the Damascus countryside. Meanwhile, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar claimed that its military attacks have targeted chemical weapons, long-range missiles, and other military systems, which it said could fall into the hands of extremists after the fall of deposed President Bashar al-Assad, who fled to Russia after anti-regime groups took control of the capital Damascus early Sunday. He added that fighters in Syria crossed into the buffer zone between Syria and Israel over the weekend, violating the disengagement agreement between the two countries. In the meantime, an opposition leader in Syria's Idlib province has been tasked with forming a new Syrian government. Local media reported on Monday that Muhammad al-Bashir, an electrical engineer and head of the Syrian Salvation Government in Idlib, under the aegis of the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, will lead efforts to form a new cabinet following the rapid fall of Assad's government. Meanwhile, Damascus on Monday stirred back to life at the start of a hopeful but uncertain era after rebels seized the capital. Heavy traffic returned to the streets and people ventured out after a nighttime curfew, but most shops remained shut. At least 22 Palestinians, including women and children, have been killed after the Zionist regime launched air and drone attacks across Gaza, while a power outage threatens the lives of more than 100 patients at a hospital in the besieged territory's north. In the latest Zionist attack in the Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza on Monday morning, at least 3 people were targeted with a missile launched from a drone, instantly killing them. Israeli shelling and bombing in the north severely damaged the Kamal Adwan hospital, threatening the lives of more than 100 patients. Reports indicate that their lives were in danger after electricity, oxygen, and water supplies were cut off. Meanwhile, an overnight Zionist attack in the southern city of Rafah killed 10 people as they lined up to buy flour. At the Al-Aqsa hospital in central Gaza, bodies were piling up at the medical facility's morgue following the latest Zionist bombing of a residential building in the Bureij refugee camp. To date, the death toll in Gaza has surged to at least 44,758 Palestinians, with over 106,134 injured. In other news, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has been banned from leaving the country over a failed attempt at imposing martial law amid growing calls for him to step down and a deepening leadership crisis. Now, head of the Corruption Investigation Office for High-Ranking Officials, Oh Dong-woon, said on Monday he ordered a ban on foreign travel for Yoon when asked at a parliament hearing what actions have been taken against the embattled president. He added that his office is committed to carrying out a thorough investigation into the leader and key offenders related to treason, with the suspects under physical detention in principle. Meanwhile, a Justice Ministry official, Bae Sang-up, told the committee the travel ban order has been executed. Yoon's attempt to end civilian rule last Tuesday lasted just 6 hours after lawmakers scuffled with soldiers in the parliament building before voting to lift the order. Moving on, police in India's capital, New Delhi, have searched around 40 schools on Monday after they received multiple anonymous bomb threats. Local media reported that the schools received emails threatening that bombs would be detonated unless $30,000 was paid to the sender. However, no bombs have been found yet, but police have not confirmed if the threats are fake. A spokesperson for the Delhi police said that they were now working to trace the origin of the email and identify the sender. Hoax bomb threats have often often led to chaos at schools, railway stations, and airports in India, especially this year. A volcano erupted in the central Philippines on Monday, sending a huge ash column into the sky as the government called for the evacuation of surrounding villages. Now rising more than 2,400 meters above sea level on the central island of Negros, Canlaon is one of the 24 active volcanoes in the Philippines. According to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, an explosive eruption occurred at the summit vent of the volcano at 3:03 p.m. local time. The seismology office said that plume rose to 3,000 meters above the vent, with red-hot ashes and other materials also falling on its southeastern slope. Following the eruption, the agency advised local governments in the volcano's vicinity to evacuate people living near the volcano and must brace for further evacuations if warranted. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look as hundreds of inline skaters from around the globe participated in the 4th edition of the Havana Skate Marathon in Cuba. With that, I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for watching and stay safe.